Hey everyone, Mature Simmer here. Got a lovely field of oats that I'm going to be working on, so let's get to it. Alright, so let's pop over here, get the harvester ready to go. Most importantly, need to have the straw swath on, which I do, because to some degree, that's the point of this entire exercise, is getting the straw going and working out the lag here. Alright, come on. This thing is like so messed up. There we go. Alright. Get this headed down the field. Alright. So here we go. Now I am going to go ahead and sell the oats because I don't really have anywhere to put them. So I'm just basically going to collect them and just figure out what I'm going to do with them. So I think we're still able to do customs right now. I'm just trying to recall. So you can see we're in a nice dark green situation right here on this field. Getting really close to that 125% yield. So absolutely wonderful on what we can get here. That was another reason that I'd rather have this field than the ones across the street. I don't think the ones across the street are nearly as good of a soil as we have here. So the server needs to be synced a little bit, but I'm waiting until kind of the top of the hour to go ahead and do that. I think, let me take a peek here. Yeah, we got about 33 minutes to go. And then basically at that point we'd sync it to 9 a.m. So you can see it's a couple hours back basically, because that will be just after 7. So hopefully I'll be able to catch it really close to right on time. Not necessarily a reason to delay at this point, so. But what I'm wondering, because I may, just to take advantage of some things, I may go ahead and actually pick up the straw and get the cow barn filled up. Trying to figure out the best way to do this, because we're just going to create kind of a mess of straw here otherwise. But it is what it is. But I want to run a couple headers here. Just worried boy, this is not good. I may be eating some of that straw with what I'm doing. Because again, we do have beware of straw. It doesn't look like I quite got back far enough. So maybe I'm okay here. But yeah, I want enough room to be able to turn around on the field, and this will certainly give me that. And especially if I pick up the straw on this, it'll be really excellent, because I won't have anything that I need to worry about as far as running into that. But there's certainly more room to maneuver here than there was on the other end. And the other benefit I get is I don't have any curves on the field either. I really get to kind of run these rows straight up and down, which is another reason this field was perfect when I scouted out spaces and where I wanted my farm to live. So pretty happy with how things are laying out. Not seeing any announcements on when we might have the ability to do anything with getting additional land yet, so it may be a while till we hear about that. I think last announcement I saw, basically they're targeting the end of the month, which is a little over a week away, at this point to hopefully kind of be done with all the server revamps and moving things around and so forth. So I'm guessing the focus is there for now, and then they'll start returning back to looking at getting everything operating in a normal basis. So yeah, let me go ahead, pull this off. So move this over here. Turn that off for now. Grab this tractor. And then yes, we need to go get our trailer, our forage wagon, so that we can pick things up, get it off the ground, and then get things into the barn. Because the benefit will be if I can do that before I sink, then the couple hours I sink, I'm also starting to feed the cows and so forth. So if I can get the cow barn productive as quickly as possible, that's really what I'm targeting here. So get ourselves backed up here. It's a big day today. I mean, this is a day I've been waiting for, I mean, honestly, for years. We've been on the farm for 4 or 5 years at this point, and really just kind of been limping along with things because we've not been able to really get going because the need to get this field, I mean, it's just a completely different visual here. Now having a field we own, I mean, we obviously could have looked over and seen how the NPCs in Farming Simulator were doing something within that field, but that's not the same as knowing, like, this is ours and what we're doing there is helping our farm. So we'll see how quickly this fills up. I can't imagine we're going to get 50,000 before the end of the row, but we might. It might be pretty interesting. I don't know, we're at 10 already. I mean, we're certainly going to have 50,000 before what I've already harvested is picked up. I know that. And so the nice thing is I think the barn only holds like 100. Well, that was before they resized it, so it might hold more straw than I think. But we'll see. I think it's 147,000, so I'm going to need 3 trailers. Alright, just crossing 30, so might be just a little short. Or maybe a lot short. Maybe we'll barely get to 40 before we're done, but still, it's pretty nice. I'm not sure that I can fully get what I have laying there. Well, we're at 40. Now let's see if we can grab this whole thing. We were able to do that. Just got to be careful because I don't want to run into the crops is kind of the situation I have here. So I don't want to go too far. So I want to be careful because especially if the lag monster hits me, that would be really bad. So 47? Yeah, shoot, I think I took a bit out. I was just trying not to have to go over it again. Alright, I think we're good there. I don't know, maybe I had cut into that when I turned around, but I'm not sure. I think that's just a bush, so I should be able to do that. Go around and didn't get hung up, so that's good. And then yeah, we'll just get a little bit more here done, and then we'll be fully complete. I'm surprised to pick that all up. I wasn't expecting that, but glad it did. Alright, so now we're full. The 50,000 liters should be more than, I mean, certainly more than enough for 2 hours. But given that we need basically 10 hours to get the barn to full productivity, if I can get a couple hours head start on that, You know, and really it'll be 3 because we're going to hit 7, and then we're going to fast forward to 9, so it's going to hit 2 at that point, but we'll have been 3 hours in, so we should be at 30% healthy. And I'll just double check that we don't have anything else surprising, because if I can fix it in the next 20 minutes or 19 minutes, that would be good. Not at the trigger yet. Wait, I have straw? I am so confused. Did I just stop and not refill the hay because I was like, well, what's the point? Yeah, because I'm actually out of hay. So let me go do that. I'm glad I checked, because this is exactly the point. Like, I would have thought, oh yeah, straw is what I need. Visually, obviously, it solved that problem for me, because I could see that that was not the case. But yeah, we should have plenty of hay in the hayloft, which also stores other things than hay. If you're totally new to the game and didn't realize that, like, we can get other things in there as well. So we'll get the hay in. But yeah, I think because I was on the trip, I think the hay ran out and then I stopped, because I wasn't here to fill it up, and then I honestly never came back, because I knew the barn would be stopped once I went on vacation, but I knew since I didn't have any straw that I wouldn't be able to continue. So let's see, 1.5 million of hay. Yeah, we don't have any straw. I'm just verifying that. So we'll get this filled up and get that over. Then the barn will be ready to go, and then I can top things up afterwards, but because I want to get back to the harvest and get that done so that I don't run into any issues. I think I've got to go do some work on generational farming. I absolutely should be at a point where I have good pricing for selling. I would hope I'm at December at least. I might actually already be into January, which is a little unfortunate, because then I won't have enough time for the silo to fully go through. But just been focusing on other things in life for the last few days, and I had a feeling that I remembered that this was going to be the day to harvest on the server, so I'm glad I checked before I got into anything else, because now at least I can kind of do something about it. Alright, so there we go. So now we've got hay, we've got plenty of mineral feed, we've got plenty of silage. Alright, so at this point, as you can see, the health and the food are at 0, but once it hits 7, we'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead. We'll obviously get this near the field. There's no reason not to. And then obviously I'll need to run my truck over to empty the oats, so I'll probably go ahead and at least get the truck over. So my truck's sitting over here. Alright, so we'll leave that there. And unfortunately, like, we have lost our individual who was refilling things for us in silage on the BGA and so forth, so that is going to come into cycle in the farm as well. It's been a while since I've looked at it. I should have some in the silo over there, the fermenting silo, but I'm likely going to need to focus on getting that going. I honestly kind of forgot about that until I'm now really focused in my head on, hey, the cows can finally operate, but we'll be good for a few days, so you know, I'll be able to mow some grass if I need something and then get that done. So good news is the farm is going to be cranking along here a bit for sure. Alright, connect up, get ourselves get our hoses connected, and then I will head over, and I think I'll honestly we'll go ahead and do this. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put this here, but the straw's in the way. So this is good. I'll stop it here. So let me pick this back up. So I won't have room to dump this all, I don't think. I'll certainly try, but at minimum I can get it off the field so we don't have, again, any of those situations of the beware of straw that we lose some of this, because that would just be heartrending. The whole point of this operation was to be able to get the dairy barn fully ready to go and operating. And it would be pretty sad if we start losing some of the material that is almost like granular gold here on our farm. I was trying to figure out how to say it, but I knew what the idea I had in my head. What is happening? Why is it really that far over? Obviously it is. I guess I was not as straight, so yeah, without GPS going across, I was steering, and I'm guessing I was trying to run along the path of the crop that I had, and caused me to move over some. But I want to get as much of this, or, well, I want to get all of it. There's no much of it. Eek. Little did I know this was going to become tractor gymnastics again here this morning. But if we can get this going, I know we're still 10-15 minutes away. I guess I can check while I'm driving here. 18 minutes away from syncing up the time. And it's important to do it at this point because we'll be outside the window of syncing if I wait longer. So 9 a.m. is the latest you're allowed to sync to in FS22. So it'll be the last time I can actually be right on time or anywhere near it today. So I want to go ahead and take advantage of that. But I believe, I don't know, 38,000, we might be able to, because if it'll take 147,000, I think we only had 101. So we may be able to fully empty into this, and then we can leave this parked over there for now, and then I can come back to it later on. Well, probably won't leave it parked here because the feeder can't get out. I don't think that would block it. I think it'll just kind of clip through it, but it'll look weird if it is. So, yeah, well, we got it all in. So we'll clear it off. We're really not supposed to leave things on the trigger either, but that's more like when we're not actively working. Obviously, if we're here in the system, we can do it for a short time. So since I'm over here, I'm going to go ahead and empty this. Why is it not emptying? Guess I wasn't over the trailer. Thought I was. Alright, so oats. It's July. It's as cheap as they can be. Alright, well, this will be what we have. What I can try to do in the future is let the crops sit. Half debating that now. But I need straw. Just do I need more straw than I already have? So, yeah, because I can sell crop here in October, November, and that's really when I'm going to start getting much better output. Just, is it worth it, or is it just best to go ahead and do it? And then in the future, I'll worry about it and get it done later. But now that I'm kind of going, is it just worth finishing? I'm thinking it is. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a few hundred per thousand, which is not going to turn into nothing, but it's not as if I'm starved for money. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and we'll just finish it, because the one thing that they have done as well, they no longer allow us to do custom sales because of the pricing differential that's being adjusted. So it used to be like, wow, you could make an insane amount by selling to customs. So at this point, like if I wanted to go ahead and do anything, I can only send it to my warehouse in the in Entrepreneurs, and I believe in that case, if I understand things correctly, I'm still not able to put it out for sale there. I would like have to do something with it. I mean, I could put it for sale there, but then the money is there. Like, I then can't move money back, because that we've not been able to do for quite some time. So they're two separate systems at this point of making money, and part of that was, once again, because you could make such insane profits and so forth compared to Farming Simulator over on the Entrepreneurs side. It just was, a situation existed where it was far too easy to keep your farm funded, and I've certainly taken advantage of that when it was available and so forth, as did everyone, because it kind of guaranteed you'd be able to do what you needed on the farm because you were able to make enough money. So our only choices right now are to go ahead and sell on the server. So I'll take a look at where I can do that, because it looks like I can go up to as high as 650. So that's the thing, I'm waiting till October, November, because I don't have a silo to put any of this in. We've got that dynamic, so that becomes, once again, it just kind of shines a spotlight on the point of, I really would like to be able to have auctions resume, land auctions, so that I can go ahead and build my yard and get myself a silo complex set up. I mean, in theory, I could like put it up here or whatever, but I don't want it up here, because the ground isn't as flat here, as you can tell. I mean, I'd be driving way uphill to get up here constantly, to fill it, to deliver from it. It's just not where I want things to be. So I want to build the farm the way I'm planning on it, because the plan is a good one. So that means I can't hold on to it until and sell at maximum price, which I'll be able to do when I have the silo. But once again, the change in FSN from all the years prior is we no longer are able to sell to customs for a really high premium, because I would guess that I'd be able to get 750 to 850 for these oats, the way it used to work. And so it was felt by management that that was too big of an advantage, and they're kind of revamping things. So I don't know if when it comes back, is that going to mean that customs just does the same as the server? If it does, it almost is pointless to have it, because there's then more gymnastics of selling to customs and so forth. So if there isn't a dynamic of I can do something I can't do, you know, it's likely I'll just continue to sell on the server. So what could happen, however, is they may not make the pricing out of line anymore, but what they might do is stagger it in some way, or do something where, you know, maybe there's a way to make some reasonable money and get it closer to, say, that 550 at this time of year versus the 450. And so you still would have, in essence, two markets to sell to, which then at least gives you the dynamic of having some decisions to make versus just the sell points on the map, which are usually very close to each other. There usually isn't anything that's running away with a price for very long. It, like any market, certainly a local market would kind of stabilize around a price at certain times of the year. But it is interesting because usually I would expect the crops to be higher when they're unavailable, which usually would mean I probably should have just kept going, because now I'm gonna have trouble when I go pick that up. This is not. Now it is. Like, it is not doing what I need it to do as far as turning onto my GPS. So, but as you can see, and this is part of my thought, I mean, I started the harvester empty. I have run now onto my third row here. I still haven't filled the harvester. You know, I'm only at 12,000 liters. So if I'm talking about $100 per liter, it's $1,200 right now. And so sitting there and worrying about it, and then kind of creating some weird dynamic of, well, now I gotta make sure I have time later, where right now, like today I can harvest, I have time to do it. 5 days from now, or whenever it would be that I'd be in that window at the end of my harvest season, I might not be able to. I also then start running up against the dynamic of, what if I wait till November, which is the last day I can harvest, and suddenly November rains all day, and then I can't harvest. Now I've lost the entire crop. So, you know, now instead of gaining $100 a liter, I've lost $450 a liter because the crop is all trashed. So, so I think the smarter move is just, let's do it. Let's get this done, and more importantly, I'm going to then have some visual and visibility into what exactly is my straw generation off of this field, and then I can start to do the learning that's going to take place now over the next few days of what's my burn rate for that, and then what is it going to mean as far as how much straw I have. Like, will I have to collect straw every year? Or in some cases, as what I was doing in Shellbrook, am I going to have enough straw off of one harvest that I can run for 2 or 3 years? And so I can make that choice. Like, if I'm really tight on time and I don't have time to pick things up, I could then go ahead and just harvest but not worry about the straw. You know, and then worst case, if I really am running out of time or not wanting to go forward for a year, you know, I can leave the field dormant for a year and not plant anything, and not have straw to pick up, but not have to deal with the harvest at all. But the spooky thing is, like, really, as I sit here and just even share this with you, whoa, I was not paying attention. Even as I share this with you and talk, so I've wasted some there. Not good. But it kind of proves my point. I feel like so out of practice of doing any of this stuff, because it's been so long since I've actively been running this farm after this move, and I've been waiting for all this land to come available. So some of this is just getting the kinks out and getting the rust out of the process so that I can go ahead and effectively run the farm again. Like on Shellbrook, I was just automatic. I mean, I was, whatever it was, 20, 30 years there, and we had everything we wanted right when we needed it, because I just was buying one piece of land. So that's what I started my farm on, and there was nothing that I needed to expand into. Like, there was nothing that stopped me from just jumping in with both feet and moving along. Ooh, I don't want to do that, because that's gonna, and it probably did. Well, I don't know if it did. Maybe not. Because, yeah, now I'm going to lose potentially a little bit of straw up there. Yeah, I really got to be careful. Let's see how this goes when I go put my header down. But I don't... Normally, I'd put it down and then just head forward, but I may destroy all that straw, which is probably still a few thousand liters, so I'd rather not. So, we'll see what we see. Maybe it was good. Maybe it gave me a little bit of grace. But yeah, so we finally got 18,000 liters, which is what our full harvester is. So with the 80,000 we can get into that. We're going to be able to do a little bit over 4 harvesters full. Now, again, I didn't have a full harvester in there to begin with, so there was a little bit there, but it's still going to be, you know, I'll be into 5 because the first harvester was not full, so I was 5,000 or 6,000 liters short. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and then collect up the straw. In the meantime, though, I'll probably be selling the oats. So I'll be back when it's time to take the oats and sell them somewhere. And I'll at least share what's going on there. So that'll be the next time I see you. So I'll see you in a little bit. So this field's got some incline to it, as you can see. So trying to get up here to empty this. Yet another reason why I do not want the silo up here. But this will fill me up. So if I take a look, basically Reverend Grain, Hobo's Market, those are all going down. Highway Producers, I'm just not sure where these places are. Because, yeah, that's the saloon. That doesn't buy any grain. Okay, so Dragon's grain silo is literally right outside. So Dragon's is 438. So that's going to be the closest. Let's see what other choices we have. Highway Producers. It's even less. It's looking like the north end of the map is not great. Alright, Reverend Grain. Okay, Reverend Grain is the highest, so right in the center. Just as it, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to have to go more than 3 times. Right now, I mean, I have the second of the lowest to the highest, so I'm going to take this to Reverend Grain then, so let me, for now, stop this, because on this map, it's going to take some time to get over there. You'll notice also, I have synced the server in the interim since I was gone. I missed it by about a minute or so, maybe 2. So we're probably a couple minutes fast, or maybe a couple minutes behind, I guess, because I think it was like 7:01, 7:02 before I realized, oh shoot, I haven't looked, and then got over there. So it might actually be, I guess, yeah, a couple minutes behind, so it might actually be like 9:27, 9:28 in real time. But yeah, this is the thing, like, we don't produce, like, oats not that prolific, I think, in production either, compared to, say, wheat or barley. So I'm going to have to kind of try to figure out what makes more sense, but once again, once I have a silo, I get more flexibility of doing things. But this basically means I'm going down to the customs location, and then I am heading back at that point, you know, and heading over a little bit. So it's kind of where I was plowing the fields and so forth when we were doing that. So just even in that conversation, lots of changes that are occurring in FSN, or just adjustments of what we're doing based on maybe misunderstandings we've had in FSN or whatever. So we used to plow our fields because it just gave us an opportunity to see the map. But we've been corrected in that we really should be issuing contracts so others get to see our server. So I certainly understand that. We do enjoy kind of getting around and partaking in the map. It's not as if me or the other FMs were getting paid for doing the plowing. We were just kind of doing it, and we figured it was a good thing. We were saving money for our community because we weren't having to pay for contractors to come in and do it. But when we couldn't repair our equipment, it was explained to us, well, part of that is someone who's on the FSN farm can do that. So if you put contracts out, they'll be able to do it. We just can't be on the FSN farm because we'd lose access. So let's see. Change this, dump. So get some sales going. We should get ourselves over 2 million pretty easily with all these crops. Might even, it'll happen in this first trailer. I was going to say it'll certainly happen on the field, but obviously it's going to happen. We're going to blow past it, which is a little bit of what we'd expect. Alright. Oops. So I think I probably just covered, well, maybe not. I hit the other key next to the dump, so once we pull out and we're not inside, I'll be able to more clearly see, so I'll wait till I start heading back. But yeah, we have that. We don't have the ability to take our crop to customs right now. So just a lot of things that we were used to in FSN, suddenly things that we're not able to do. So some may be coming back and some won't be. And then obviously we're waiting for additional land. So yeah, this isn't too bad of a drive, and once again, if I'm just doing it infrequently, because I do think like the hobos thing is like the opposite corner of the map for me, but on a 4x map, that's a long way. So at this point, that kind of gets you up to where I'm at, and gives you the understanding of where I'll be selling. So I am going to take the rest of the oats, likely to that location. The only way I'd switch, because again the price is decreasing at this location, it's increasing at some of the ones near me, so obviously if the dynamic switches, I'll certainly obviously deliver closer. But you have an idea, I'm basically selling 430 to 450 a 1,000 liters of oats right now is the going rate that I'm able to part with this right now. And the reason I'm doing it again, if you missed or weren't paying attention in the beginning of the video, is I don't have a grain silo to store things in because I don't have the area I want to build my yard out on yet. So, you know, and it's slowing me down for several other things, so I really hope that we're going to be able to do auctions or acquire land in some way, and that we'll be able to do that soon. Because the challenge is, even with auctions, like, the plots I need have not come up. So, given that there's so many plots of land available, it just takes time, and obviously being shut down for several weeks means probably 5-6 parcels that may have come up, 5-6 opportunities to do that no longer have come up. So trying to wait patiently, but definitely wanting to be able to get my farm built and going. Oh, I don't have the harvester going, so let's see. That might be all I need to do. It looks like I'm over, but I might literally be in between the trailers, so let me... Alright, there we go. Alright, I'm like, clearly not, but now we're good. So I'm set to go forward. There we go. So I'm going to continue finishing this field. I think I'm about halfway. I'm looking to see the field number come up on the mini map because that will make it a little more clear. But once again, that half of the field is bigger than this just because of the slope at the top. But yeah, we can see that number coming up. It's just going underneath the percent bar, and so we're really like we're still not quite halfway done. So that probably means I'm going to get another 80,000 liters. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm closer to like say 100,000 or more. So that would mean we got like 280,000 liters off this field. So not bad. Definitely more than we were getting off 26 before. But yeah, we're actually, like, this pass is literally almost right in half if the number's really centered, which usually they're pretty good at doing that, because we've got the 4 on this side and what we've harvested, and the 2 is still in the unharvested side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll see what else is next based on, again, how much time I have left and what work looks like it needs to be done. At a minimum, I should probably get some more hay over to the cow barn, and then, you know, other things will happen on other days. So I will see you in a bit, at a minimum, to let you know kind of where things ended up on the field. You know, I'll collect the straw, I'll sell the rest of the oats, so really will just be a wrap-up of the episode when I come back next time, let you know where we're at. So I'll see you in a bit. I'm back here on the farm, and as promised, finishing up here with the last collection of the straw. So we had a partial row, because obviously you can tell this is the path of the harvester. So basically half the header was harvesting, half the header was off the field. And I think this is a row that actually may have been in the video, because this was probably when I was simply going around and doing the headlands. So we're just going to get a little bit here, probably less than 10,000 liters, probably far less, because again it's a partial row. But we've got to then see what we have. Let's see, this is small enough, I'm thinking I should pick it up without a problem, but we'll obviously want to make sure. There's definitely been points where I've had to move around and go back and forth and pick things up because the piles were too large. So certainly, as always, I've learned things that I will use next time to run this field differently. One of the more obvious things I see here that you see as well is we do have weeds growing on the field. So while we didn't have to go ahead and spray the first time, clearly, now that we've put crops and seed in the ground, we've introduced weeds into the field as well. So I would imagine next harvest we are not going to be able to not spray, which is fine. I mean, that is part of the process of farming. So obviously it's also August, so I was not able to jump in. I had to devote my farming simulator time to a snafu of time that I realized on my generational farming farm. When I went in to check that yesterday after I was done here, I was horrified to discover I had totally lost track of time there. So it's a little bit of the challenge with multiple calendars going on, that it just gets far too easy to think something's happening that isn't. So, but that required me to focus my energy there. You can go check out those videos for the detail of what happened there if you're interested, rather than me chewing up time here to explain it. Alright, so we can see straw 1.1 million liters. Frankly, I will say that's less than I anticipated having. I may just leave this here because at this point I don't need to pull anything, but I'm going to have to move some more product over to the cow barn at some point. So let me go take a look and let's see where we're at here. So yeah, we actually only have 9,500 liters of hay. So we're going to go ahead and resolve that now, because I'm going to be stepping away for probably a good portion of the day. Again, just going on with life and so forth. And the barn, I think, would run out of hay in that time. It may not, but it would be pretty darn close. And with 1.5 million liters of hay here, it would be pretty foolish to let things run dry. But at least now we know what the situation is, so keep in mind, I also probably, I think I put in 2 full loads of straw into the barn to begin with, so we really have another 100,000 that we pulled off that field, and so that puts us at, say, 1.25 million liters with oats that we pulled off that field. So I was thinking I was really close to the 1.5 million liters, but once again, with the grass and so forth, and the hay, which is, obviously sourced from the grass, I think 25 is a bigger field than 24, so it makes a bit of sense, but obviously straw production could be something different. So let's see. Whoops, no, I guess I hit a trigger, but just barely. Goodness, very tiny. Probably because I'm in the corner or something. Okay. I'm just going to do what I was going to do, which is get myself closer to the barn, I think. It's just that situation of I have to be right on target, and I'm not, so there you go. Obviously that's much simpler. So we'll get that done. I'll go ahead and just grab another load because there's not really a reason not to at this point. And I think it should take it, because that would just get me to 109,000, so I could almost do 2 more loads, but that second load would not be accepted in full. So for now, I'll just do this. I'll be on the farm again shortly. So based on that, some of the thoughts I'm having, I think I'd like to plant another grain crop, a different grain crop at this point, just for variety, and to be able to sell something else and so forth, and just to once again determine what do I need to do as far as being ready to go. And so I think I'm going to go ahead, unless something changes my timing, like availability and so forth later, and go ahead and plant in the next couple days, since I can do the fall planting in September and October for pretty much anything that I'd want to do. So that will get me on here for the next day, or for a day in the next couple of days. So I'm pretty comfortable that once I top this with this additional amount that gets me over 100,000 liters there, I should be good. But we'll take a quick look, because the hay jumped out at me, and frankly I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the other numbers. I was focusing on the problem at hand, which was, wow, we're less than 10,000 liters of hay. So while this is pouring out, we'll take a peek. So straw is still over 100. Mineral feed consumes very, very slowly. Milk is not maxed out. That's really going to be my issue. The slurry is maxed out, but that will kind of always be the case. The important thing is the health of the animals is finally at 100%. When I got on here this morning, it was still at like 76%, so I'm not sure if it didn't take longer than 10 hours to get them going, which obviously is fine. But, that gets me in that situation there. So if I look, I've still got room for milk. Okay, so the health is 100, but their productivity is not up yet. That's the thing that was in the 70s. I was looking at different bars. So I'm thinking they should get to full productivity at some point. It's possible. As you can see, obviously at this point they're kind of at max age. They don't get older than 60 months. And so it's possible, like once they fully matured, There might be something that keeps things from operating at 100%, which is okay as well. I don't need massive, massive production, and I'm not sure, once again, that it makes a lot of sense to sell off the old cows, replace them with new ones, or wait for them to be born and so forth, and then you've got 18 months where you've still got lower production anyway. So, but right now, I'm going to be stepping away for a few hours. If I don't, there we go. We're feeding them again. So more importantly, that's the other thing we're talking about. So you get about 1,000 an hour, and see, we went from 84 to 88. So you can see it climbs very slowly, but what that is telling me that we basically have been running the barn for 25 hours, and you can see how small the capacity of the TMR is. It's probably 200,000 liters at least that we can fit in there. So 200 hours, that's going to take quite some time, and that's what we've never been able to achieve before, is maximizing that barn capacity, because at least at that point, I think, because I think they eat about 3,500 or something in an hour. If I have 200,000, I've got, it's less than 70 hours, but if, let's say, they eat 3,000, that would give me 70 hours, which would give me almost 3 days where the barn could not have some sort of supply. So it gives me a bit of a margin for error, where before, I think this is about as far as I would get, is to this point, and then basically in 7 or 8 hours or less, I was empty with food and the barn stopped producing. So the hope is that I've crossed that threshold and now I'm fully productive. So that is where we're at. It just took an additional day to get there because of the other things I needed to do in Farming Simulator. But we are now fully done with that first cycle on field 24. And as I said, I'll figure out what I'm doing next time, and I'll see you then.